Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are, everyone. My name is Zach Hewells, and I am the Program Engagement Manager at NAIFA, and I'm very excited to welcome you to the official kickoff of July's Advisor Ambassador Program. This is going to be a special, 3-week class program of the month of July. We're excited to have Stephen Good with us today. He's one of our trusty trustees at NAIFA. He's been with us for a couple of these classes, and he is going to be talking about supplementing your natural market through effective networking. And this is sort of the class that's focused all on networking. So it sort of works out as we are networking as well over this virtual space, and we have been, I'm sure, for a few months now. If you have any questions for Stephen throughout the presentation, please use the chat feature in the Zoom window, and we will try and get to them at the end. And yes, this session is being recorded. And without further ado, Stephen, I would like for you to take it away. Welcome.
Awesome, Zach. Thanks as always, dude. So welcome, everybody. Let me just kind of paint a little bit of the big picture. And I know for some of you guys that are newer in the career, this is definitely a wonky time to say the least. But you know, I want to just kind of set the table a little bit with 2020 is a year. It's an interesting year, and there's some other words that I would put to it if I knew you all better, and Zach didn't already hit the record feature, but 2020 is a something year, right? But it's just that, it's a year, right? 2020 is not going to make your career. 2020 is not going to be what happens throughout everything that's going to go on. So yeah, listen, there's some challenges and there's some uniqueness and there's some stuff like we were talking about earlier, right? Where do you have that Zoom fatigue and how do you do it? And I get all of that and I see all of that, but just remember and just constantly remind yourself that 2020 is just that. It's just a year. This is not your career. This is not how every year is going to go. Trust me. There's going to be enough other things that are going to happen, both good and bad, that are going to dramatically impact you. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to go through this program from NAIFA. I think this is a great opportunity to start to understand the value that this association can bring you. Like Zach said, I'm a national trustee. I've been a trustee now for going on about 2 years. I've been a state president. I've been a local president. I've been involved in NAIFA for going on about 17, 18 years now. And part of the reason that I am successful in this business is because of NAIFA. I'm the guy that never should have been hired. I'm a double major in marine science and biology and a minor in chemistry who was doing college admissions for the University of Miami when I got hired to go work in Washington, D.C., where I'd never lived a day in my life, right? So fortunately, I've become good friends with all those guys, and I always laugh and ask them just how bad it was in 2001 that they hired me. They continue to insist that it was even worse than I realized because they were desperate enough to hire me to come in and do it, right? But one of the things that I learned really early on in this business was how to network. And I'm going to do this presentation a little differently this time than I've done it the last few times, just because I want to set the stage on some of the networking stuff that we can do and we will do off into the future. But I want to probably spend a little more time emphasizing what are some things that you can do now and what are some skill sets that you can acquire now or some relationships that you can start to acquire now that are going to make a difference for you, okay? So as we go through, like Zach said, listen, I am about as informal as you all are going to find. So I have no problems at all. If you guys want to speak up with questions, comments, concerns, whatever it is, just raise your hand, give me a shout, take yourself off mute, say, hey, I got a question, and we'll stop and digest and go through it. So assuming, I apologize, I've been having a little bit of issues this morning with my laptop, but you guys are all seeing my screen okay, right? We're on the agenda slide now. Good, perfect. All right. So here's the stuff that we're going to go through and talk a little bit about. Talk a lot about the basics of networking, how to get involved, where to go. What do you do when you get there? A lot of times I feel like when people go to, whether it's a Chamber of Commerce, a BNI, a LATIP, an alumni group, anything like that, a lot of times we know to go, but we don't know what to do once we get there. So I want to talk you all through what to do there. Talk a little bit around the elevator speech. How do you put it together? What do you say? Those kind of things. How do you set the stage for that next meeting? And then the last two are the two that I want to spend a little bit more time than normal on today, which is building out that strategic team and then just starting to think a little bit about the social media networking side of things and what's possible or what's capable there. So when we talk about what all I want to make sure you walk away with, okay? I want to make sure that you walk away with new venues and new techniques. I want to make sure that you walk away with a real good set to build an elevator speech, right? So we're not going to end this with you all have practiced your elevator speech and you've got it drilled down. My goal is to have you end this with, here's the framework of how I'm going to build out an elevator speech. And then how do we take it and where do we build it from there? And then obviously, how do you take those techniques back home, right? So let's talk a little bit about the basics here, okay? So the first thing is you got to give to get. When you're involved in networking in any capacity, do not feel like because you walked in the room, you are going to instantaneously be getting referrals and you're always going to have people pounding down your door to come call you, right? You've got to walk in knowing that you're going to have to give of yourself, whether it's your time, whether it's your network, whether it's your opportunities, you're going to have to give in order to receive, okay? The other big thing is when we all get back to some sense of normal, don't go be those card dispensers. And y'all know what I mean. If you've been to a Chambers of Commerce event or you've been to any other kind of event, right? What happens? There's always that one guy or that one gal that walks around and it's, hi, I'm Stephen Good. I'm a realtor with so-and-so. Here's my card. Hi, I'm Stephen Good, right? And they walk around and they give out 75 or 80 business cards to the 80 people that are there. And they're high-fiving themselves on the way out the door that they had a great time because they gave away 80 business cards, right? Well, out of those 80 business cards they gave away, 75 got put in the trash. 5 didn't get put in the trash. They got left in the jacket pocket, and the dry cleaner, when you go to get your suit dry clean, hands you back and you look and go, who the hell's this person? And then you throw it in the trash, right? So rather than going in thinking that you want to go pass out as many cards as you can, a good rule of thumb that I always have is if I'm at an event for an hour, I want to talk to 5 people for at least 10 minutes, right? So 5 for 10 is always my rule. If I'm going to engage with folks, I want to talk to them for at least 10 minutes. Because in that time frame, I'm going to get to know them. I'm going to get to know who they are. I'm going to get to know what's important to them and why and how. And we're going to be able to build something out together, right? So that's an easy thing for me that I always kept was, hey, if I'm there in an hour, if it's an hour and a half event, then listen, okay, I want to go get 6 to 7 people for the 10 minutes. That's what my goal is. It's not to go have a conversation with 30, 40 people. It's to have an in-depth quality conversation with 5, 6, 7 people, always trying to target for that 10-minute mark, right? Now, the crazy, stupid thing in networking that nobody ever pays attention to, right? You see it right there. Put your name tag on your right-hand side. I know for guys in particular, especially if you go to an event, you're wearing a collared shirt and you don't have on a jacket, right? It's real easy. You got your pocket right here. You just attach the name tag. Problem is that the reason you put the name tag on the right side is when you reach out to shake your hand with somebody, you're actually presenting them with your name. It's a stupid little thing, but for somebody like me, I suck at names. But if I see that name tag, I know right where to look. I know when I'm shaking their hand. I know how to do all those things. Just put your name tag on the right-hand side. Again, stupid little thing. I realize I get it, but it works, okay? Talk a little bit about getting involved right away, okay? This is a big thing to me that I think a lot of times we don't do a good job of. And that's when you get to an event, when you get to a chamber, a BNI, when you get to any of these kind of organizations, look to get involved. Don't just show up and expect that you're going to get business. Show up and ask what you can do to generate revenue, okay? I've been a fan. I've been in BNI for 15 years. I've coached people in BNI and LATIP and all those kind of referral groups. Now, a lot of the chambers of commerce all have the referral groups. I will tell you, I have founded referral groups. I've been president of referral groups. I've done all kinds of different things. I always made my most money as a guest host, right? Or a visitor host. I recruited a guy, this was probably about 13, 14 years ago now, in the DC area, and there's a big, huge chamber of commerce in the DC area that sort of became a conglomerate of all these other chambers. And one of the first things that Steve did when he joined the chamber was he said, hey, listen, how do you guys welcome new members? And the chamber said, oh, well, we mail out our packets and everything like that. And Steve said, well, listen, why don't I go hand deliver them? And at first the chamber was kind of resistant. And then he looked and he said, well, if you're getting 5-10 new members a week, how much are you spending in mailing and all that other kind of stuff? Why don't you just give me the stuff and I'll go hand deliver it? And the chamber eventually said, hey, yeah, we'll pilot this out. And you know what? Steve literally qualified for my company's conference his first year in the business and all kinds of other things. And the reason why was because he knew he had 5 to 10 new people that he could go walk in and shake their hand of every week. He could go walk in and say, hey, I'm Steve. I just joined XYZ Chamber. Welcome to the chamber as well. Let me tell you a little about my experience that I've had in the first couple of months, right? And it was an awesome opportunity for him to go through and do it. So ask about those kind of things. See what you can do to get involved. Big key in this one, that third bullet point, join the cause only if you care. There are tremendous opportunities to network and to ingratiate yourself into organizations. Make sure that you care about it. I've known folks that have gone through in the past that have joined things like American Cancer Society and other organizations because they thought it'd be a great way to network and to go get in front of high quality people. And the only thing it ended up doing was absolutely destroying whatever credibility they had, because they weren't there because they cared about the cause. They were there because they cared about what they could get out of it. If you're there because your heart is what's driving you there, you'll be amazed at what you're going to generate and what you're going to be able to pull out of an organization. But if you just go join something because there's an opportunity there, or you think that there's a good group of people there, it's never going to do anything for you, right? I always love the tie-in here at the bottom. You got Seinfeld that the two greatest fears that everyone has is public speaking and funerals. And public speaking is number one. So that means that most people would rather be dead than speak and deliver a eulogy, right? So if you're comfortable with public speaking, there's a huge opportunity out there, whether it's in ELF clubs, Lions clubs, Rotaries, chambers. There's so many opportunities to get out and speak. And there's no better way to build your credibility and to build what opportunities you're going to be able to put out there in front of your clients and your prospects than to go through and take advantage of those public speaking opportunities. So again, if you're comfortable with it, I can't tell you enough how awesome of an opportunity that can present for you. So where do you go, right? And I will tell you, this is literally a fraction of the list that's out there. But I think it does a good job to start to paint the picture for you of where can you go in order to start to generate things, in order to start to generate opportunities. So you have things like alumni associations. So for me, I went to the University of Miami, we've shifted a lot of our alumni association events to online events now. And in fact, one of the things that we're doing locally is we actually go through and every member that owns a small business is getting 5-10 minutes to talk about their small business in their alumni in that meeting, right? So what opportunities are there, whether it's from a high school, whether it's from college or whatever it is, what are some opportunities that are out there? You might be in a place where you look and say, hey, there's not going to be a lot out there. At one point in time, I was out in the Phoenix area. And surprisingly, there aren't a lot of University of Miami alums that live in Phoenix. But you know what? There is a huge alumni pool for all of the ACC schools. So we used to do trivia nights and all kinds of other stuff where you had Duke and North Carolina and Boston College and all these other schools, and we would get together and do trivia nights. And it was a great way to get in front of a whole bunch of other folks, right? But in addition to all your alumni associations, you've got hobby groups. I tell this story all the time. I had an advisor at one point in time. He owned a Toyota Land Cruiser, right? So the old school Toyota knockoff of the Land Rover. And he joined the Land Cruisers Club of Northern Virginia. And he would always laugh. So he said, listen, all we do is once a month, we get together for 2-3 hours one night at somebody's house and fix a Land Cruiser that broke down. And he generated so much revenue and so many opportunities because that was something that he would do anyway. So he wasn't joining the Land Cruisers Club because it was an opportunity for him to generate business. He joined the Land Cruisers Club because he had a Land Cruiser and broke down a lot, and I can verify that because he was late to a lot of meetings because his car broke down. But he would always generate somebody in conversation over the course of that month. So what are those hobbies that are out there? I've known folks that were in pottery classes that generated, that were in all kinds of things, right? So what are those mentalities? You've got your civic groups, you've got your cause focus groups, you've got past employment groups. My favorite thing I always say is this: my old office in Washington, D.C. was on the first floor of a building. On the second floor was the National Association of Associations. So trust me, if there's an association for associations, there's an association for, whether it's career-wise, whether it's opportunity-wise, there's associations that are out there that you can go and join. And you can go and prospect and sponsor and write articles for and do all those types of things. So there's a tremendous, tremendous amount of leeway through those associations to go out and go do it. Again, you've got the referral groups and you've got those opportunities, but you can see we could fill in probably another 15, 20 bubbles of just the places that you can go, what you can do. I challenge all of you to sit down, and if nothing else, if you take out of today, do a little bit of research and look and see what's out there for you. Okay? A good friend of mine, he has been the primary sponsor for the National Chiropractic Conference for 43 years. Okay? Bob might as well be the mayor of the chiropractic convention, because when he's there, there's a couple of thousand people there. Every one of them stops by to check in and see. Right? Every single one of them stops in to see how's he doing, checking what's going on, because he's been doing it for 40 years. There's something out there like that, if you wanted to, that you can niche market in or that you can build off of if you've got that passion, if you've got that desire to go through and do that. Okay? So let's say we get to that event, right? What do we do? So the first thing is you want them talking first, right? I always tell everybody, listen, if you're going to go to a networking event or you're meeting somebody, the game is shoot first. So figure out how you can have your introduction be, what do you do? Because we can tailor what we do really easy once we learn what they do. So talk about them as much as you can. Lead them down a path to understand who they are, what their role is. Okay. My example I always give people is you got to look and see, do you have the chief, right? Do you have the CEO of the company that's in front of you? Or do you have a person who was just hired for marketing that's in front of you? Because if I have a person who was just hired for marketing, I don't want to tell my story as I work with business owners to figure out how to maximize revenue out of their business. The marketing person's not going to care. And conversely, if I've got the CEO of the company, I don't want to talk about how I help employees maximize their benefits. Because what does he think or she think at that moment in time? This guy's just going to cost me money. So I want to understand what they do. There's a couple of key questions that I always like to ask. One of them is, you see there, are there any success for you here? Some of the best networking I've ever done wasn't in the meeting that I was at. It was getting introduced to this other group that everybody said I should go to. It was being told, hey, yeah, this is a good group, but man, if you really want a high quality group of executives or HR people or whatever it is you're looking for, you should really go check out this group. So I always ask them, what successes have they found? And I always ask them, what's their experience been in the organization? Because if you start with that, again, if all I'm trying to do is identify 5 people that I can talk to for 10 minutes, you can see how these questions are easily 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes worth of dialogue. I don't matter. I want to understand them. The more I understand them, the more they talk, the more they're going to like me. Trust me, if you ask my wife, the less I talk, the more she likes me. So I'm very confident that the less you talk, the more this prospect is going to like you as well. So if you can go through and you can ask these kind of questions, you can start to tailor what you're going to do. Okay? One of the hardest challenges, right, is how do you get to that point of moving on? Okay? One of the things is you've got to be able to figure out real quick, is this someone that you want to move forward with in business? If it's somebody that you want to move forward with, or you think that there's someone that you want to explore, right? Listen, as best as you can, kind of keep squared up to them in conversation. Okay? So if I'm talking with somebody, I want to be squared on as much as I can if it's somebody that I want to engage with. If it's not somebody I want to engage with, it always sounds kind of funny, but rather than being squared up, open yourself up. Human nature is you're going to come in and see if one person is facing the other person is kind of facing out a little bit. It's an open invitation physiologically. Oh, I should go join that group and have a conversation. You don't believe me? Well, again, whenever we get back to normal and you're at a networking event, look around. Take 5 minutes and watch the room, and you'll see when there's people that are squared up, nobody goes and interrupts them. When there's somebody that's opened up to the conversation, it's really easy to jump in and then start engaging in dialogue, right? So again, I can't emphasize enough that you got to get them talking. You got to get them understanding. You got to ask questions about what's their role, how long have they been there. Understand them, right? The more you can understand them, the more you can understand what's going on with them and what's important to them, the better you're able to tailor what comes next, okay? So let's talk for a second about an elevator speech, okay? We all know what an elevator speech is, right? It's your way of being able to quickly interject who you are or what you do or why you're different, right? What I want to tell you is you've got to have a good elevator speech, and your elevator speech has got to be able to be something that gets people's attention, right? If you think that, you know, just because it's you and you're in an event and you say, oh, well, I'm a financial advisor, or I'm an insurance person, or I'm a wealth manager, a financial planner, or whatever the term is, right? Trust me, you haven't been doing this industry long enough until you've said that to somebody and you've watched them either literally, like old school Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, when you say you're a financial person and the other person is gone and they're no longer engaged in conversation with you, either physically because they don't want to talk to you anymore, or mentally they've checked out because they know you're just going to try and sell them. You got to come up with something different, right? I will tell you, two of the ones that I have heard that I've always felt are really strong. One is the one that I use for a number of years, and that's if I lose that battle and I get asked, what do you do? My response has always been, I'm a money coach. And the inevitable conversation from that is, what's a money coach, right? And simple response. Well, Tiger Woods was a pretty good golfer in his day, but he always had a swing coach. And the swing coach wasn't a better golfer than Tiger was, but it was somebody that could look and see what he was doing and help him change things that he may not be able to see for himself. I just do the same thing with people's money. Instantaneously, you'll have somebody engaged in conversation. Same way, I've always had a real good response rate to people that say, hey, I'm kind of like a financial GPS. And everybody always kind of, what do you mean? Well, just like your GPS, you plug in where you want to go and it helps you navigate the turns and the accidents and the challenges and the problems. I do the same thing for people financially, right? You want to have a hook. You want to have something that engages that person, okay? So what does a good elevator speech have? There's really two things that a good elevator speech has. It's got some kind of a need or some kind of a pain point, and it's got your solution to it, right? Now, obviously, listen, this is going to be heavily geared towards life insurance from when I first built this presentation a long time ago. People see me when they see the consequences to a family when the sole breadwinner dies, right? Is anybody ever going to say that? God, no, that's what compliance and marketing does to clean up a presentation and make it sound sterile, right? That's never anything that you're going to go out and go say to a client. But you can imagine, what are some of the needs? What are some of the pain points? And I always get asked, and I'm surprised nobody's asked it now, but hey, do elevator speeches or pitches really work? I will tell you, I've been present for probably one of the best elevator speeches, literally, and it literally occurred in an elevator. When I was in Seattle, we used to work up on the 43rd floor. And so we had to take an elevator from the lobby up to the 40th floor. So it's about a 40-second elevator ride. I get in with a producer and these two women. And the producer looks and he goes, man, that food smells good. What is that? And the two girls say, oh, it's the food from downstairs. It's the new place that just opened up. And Kevin goes, oh, yeah, I haven't seen that place yet. I work with a lot of the guys down there. I got to go swing down and introduce myself. What do you two do? Well, of course, these two women happen to be the heads of HR for the law firm that Kevin has 3 clients in that he's been trying to get in the door of for the better part of the last 4 years. And it turned into Kevin picking up about a $10 million 401k and about $200,000 in premium with executive bonus and deferred comp. Literally from riding in an elevator and saying, hey, that food smells good. What is it? Okay. So these do work. Don't feel like you got to have this perfect pitch, because ultimately, to me, like I said, the perfect elevator speech, is, hey, what do you do? You ask first. Okay. So what do you do for that next meeting? Big thing to me, first and foremost, is book that follow-up meeting off peak time, right? We're all in the same business. We're all trying to generate revenue. So somebody that you met at a chamber event, I don't want to go see him at 10 o'clock in the morning. I can go see a client at 10 o'clock in the morning. I will, however, go see that person at 7 o'clock in the morning for a cup of coffee, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for a cup of coffee, because that's a time when it tends to be harder to get clients, right? If you work with small business owners at 7 a.m., they're getting their day started, or at 4 o'clock, they're finishing putting out their last fire so they can get back to normal. So I always want to try and do off-peak time. I always want to be ready to talk through the group. So I want to ask if they've had good relationships, good rapport, or if they've worked through with anybody in the group, right? You've got to have LinkedIn referrals ready. Hopefully all of you already know how to, I believe the appropriate word is stalk somebody on LinkedIn, to go through, to look and see who are their connections, right? Search through people's connections to find that opportunity, to find that niche, to find whether it's small business owners or women business owners or executives or attorneys or teachers, cops, firefighters, whomever it is that they're connected with, right? Have those connections ready. So as you're in the course of the conversation with them, not only are you talking about what have they generated out of that group and what opportunity might be for you in that group, but you're looking to see what can you do to potentially get additional business or additional opportunities out of this, right? And then last but not least, you got to have a call to action, right? For me, I've always had the very simple call to action of, hey, when was the last time that you actually did an audit on all of your insurance? Everybody always is doing portfolio reviews and doing those kind of things. Nobody ever asks it that way. Nobody ever says, when was the last time you did an audit or a portfolio review of your insurance policies? I found so many opportunities through the years networking, just asking that simple question, that it's generated just a tremendous amount of opportunity for me. So just simply having that as your call to action, when was the last time you did an audit on your insurance policies, is great. And listen, it's very nondescript. It doesn't matter if you're a P&C producer. It doesn't matter if you're a life insurance guy or gal. It doesn't matter if you're a comprehensive planner. That's language that you can use that absolutely will get that person thinking about you and thinking about what opportunities can be brought to the table. So this is where I want to spend a little bit more time than normal, because this is something that we can all do right now, which is building strategic teams. I'm a huge believer in the strategic team concept, okay? So the strategic team concept is everybody is out looking for the same thing. So whether that is business to business or business to consumer, who are people that are just like you that are trying to get to that end business owner or that end family or individual, right? So what's up on the screen here is business to business, and I'll pick on that, but you can imagine we could substitute and do the exact same thing on the individual side as well. So everybody knows the simple ones, right? You've got your CPAs and your business attorneys. Business attorneys and CPAs are phenomenal resources, because anytime a business attorney or anytime a CPA that I have a relationship with incorporates a business, they know, well, hey, if there's partnership, I need to put in a buy-sell agreement, right? Here's the problem with buy-sell agreements. Almost nobody funds them. It's a great language that says, hey, if Zach and I are in business together and I die, Zach is going to be taking over my share. Well, but if there's no money, how's Zach going to buy my wife out? So I'm in with all those CPAs and all those business attorneys to say, hey, when you set these businesses up, let's actually go fund this thing. So it's a great entree there. You can start to think about commercial P&C, right? Or obviously, if you're on the PNC side, you can think about folks in the life insurance space or other spaces, so those kind of are interchangeable. I will tell you, things like commercial realtors are brilliant to network with. As a business owner, when you go have a conversation with a commercial realtor, you're too big or you're too small for your britches, right? Business is going too good, I need more space, or I'm having issues and I need to shrink my space. Most small business owners I know, their employees, they're their family. So if a business owner is in that position where they need to start to shrink down their space, they need to let people go. If that commercial realtor says, you know what, you should have a conversation with Stephen Good, because if there's people that you need to make some transitions with, he can help make that financially softer for them. I've gotten so many referrals that way. You can think about other people like payroll providers, right? So whether it's ADP, Paychex, or smaller ones, professional employer organizations, PEO firms, people that just do health insurance or do benefits if you don't do benefits, right? All these people are out constantly trying to get in front of the same person you are, that small business owner. I'll give you the example of a business coach. So my best referral relationship I ever had in this business was a business coach. And our joke always was, the whole, hey, it's not rocket science or anything like that, or you don't have to be a nuclear engineer to understand business. This guy literally was both. He was the nuclear engineer for subs in the Navy. He's a Naval Academy grad. And he before he became a business coach, was, I'm not kidding, a rocket scientist for Raytheon, right? So literally the dude was a rocket scientist and a nuclear engineer. But the beauty of Ingar was he constantly worked with small business owners to teach them how to work on their business, not in their business. So Ingar would always go through and teach that small business owner to find and identify a key employee, train them up to run a lot of the day-to-day so they could focus on bigger tasks. Once a month, sometimes 2 to 3 times a month, my phone was going to ring. And the phone call was always the same thing. Hey, Stephen, I got your phone number from Ingar. He told me to give you a call. I've been his coaching client for a few years now, and I've got a key employee that I need to protect. Imagine that. Once a month, I answered the phone, and I know I'm selling key person life. I know I'm selling key person disability insurance, and I know I'm going to be able to have a conversation about deferred compensation. Once a month, sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a month. So what can you do? Think in your mind, who do you already know? Who's in your sphere? Who's in your network that is out there trying to get in front of small business owners? Because everybody's facing the same battle right now, right? Everybody is trying to get in front of business owners in this new normal. We can't go to chamber events. We can't go do those things anymore. So what can you do? Identify some of these people and reach out and ask. Reach out to commercial realtors. Hey, listen, you know what? I'd love to get to know you better as I target more small business owners. I think there's going to be a great opportunity for us to work together. Do you work with a financial advisor right now? Do you work with an insurance person right now? If you can start to build those relationships and you can start to build that trust, and if you've got the ability to give to some of those alliance members right now, folks, the revenue that you're going to be able to generate is fantastic. We used to have a group that we met every Friday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning in my agency in DC. So think about that, right? There were people that would wake up at like 4:45 in the morning to be in my office at 6. Because from 6 to 7, everybody went around the table and talked about the last 2 business owners they closed and the next 2 business owners they had to close. So we'd have 15, 20 people there. You'd have 60, 70, 80 businesses that would be discussed that you could get in the door of. There's nothing that stops you from setting something like that up right now. If you've got a great relationship with a business banker, with a business coach, with a commercial realtor, with some of those kind of people, you could literally do that right now. Hey, listen, why don't we get together once a week, or why don't we get together every other week and talk about some of the current businesses that we're working with and see what opportunity there is to pass business. So rather than just having this loose knit, hey, I'll refer you when I can, you're actively working and actively pursuing the opportunity to build and grow a strategic relationship. I can't emphasize enough, if you were to take a step back and look at any of the successful advisors and any of the long tenured advisors in your agency, and I don't care where you are, and I will challenge any one of you to have lived in more states and more region and done more stuff and more offices than I have, because for better or for worse, I'm going to win that battle. Every big producer in every office, maybe not formally, but informally, has these strategic relationships. They have these CPAs, they have these business coaches, they have these attorneys, these estate planning attorneys, these individual realtors. They have these people that feed them business. And when you can pipe into that opportunity, it's awesome. It's awesome. I have a producer right now who's gotten piped in with a property and casualty company. They close on 100 new policies a week. He gets to call all 100 new clients every week. Think about that relationship, guys. Think about having 100 qualified prospects every week that you pick up the phone and call that just did business with your peer, that just did business with a company that you're partnered with. It's the dream, right? That didn't come 5 years, that came now. We had a couple of Zoom meetings. We had one face-to-face meeting where everybody agreed this is what we're going to do, and that's what we've been doing. So think through in your Rolodex, who are people that are targeting small business owners? Who are people that are targeting? And there's tons. You got print people and payroll people, and I mean, literally the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And you can do the same thing individually. You've still got the CPA, you've got the estate planning attorney, you've got folks that maybe are a little off than you would think. You've got an elder law attorney, you've got your realtors, you've got your mortgage people, you've got your bankers, you've got your property and you could do the same thing, right? You've got your life coaches, you've got all these other people that are out there that can be tremendous referral partners for you. And again, rather than having it just be a, hey, we'll see what happens, there's nothing that stops you from saying, you know what, I'd love to set up a group. Let's get together on Zoom, or if you're comfortable getting together face-to-face, get together face-to-face every 2 weeks, and let's talk about what our opportunities are to pass and share business. Okay? I can't emphasize enough, this is a huge opportunity, especially right now, because the same way we're having this conversation, there are young CPAs that are sitting down, probably not today because they're ripping their hair out for the next 24 hours to hit the new tax deadline, right? But I guarantee in another couple of days, they're going to be sitting there going, oh crap, where am I going to get my clients from, right? So there's a great, great opportunity to go out and go do that. So talk about the social media side. There's a huge amount that's out there. I'm always very cognizant. Listen, I know there are some broker dealers. I know there are some companies that, won't let you post anything on YouTube, or don't like Twitter, or don't like Instagram, or whatever it is. That's fine. Play within your rules, whatever those rules are. But what I will tell you is this: you've got to have a consistency and you've got to have a strategy. If you think just throwing out one random post is all of a sudden going to make you an expert and it's all of a sudden going to make people engaged in you and who you are, it ain't going to happen, right? You've got to go out and follow the people that are influencers in our industry on things like LinkedIn, comment on their posts so people start to connect with you and people start to look at you as someone that can be of leverage. Look at your local, your city leaders and those kind of things. Follow them, comment on their posts. That's another great way to build your personal brand and build who you are. It's obviously a great way to be able to enhance referability and the like if people see you out there and about. So with social media, what I would tell you, the biggest thing is you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. You can't just think that you're going to walk out there and all of a sudden, hey, because I made this post, I'm good. You've got to have, for the next 6 weeks, here's what my posts are. Here's what my theme is going to be, right? There's a tremendous amount of resources out there through NAIFA, through Life Happens. Every one of you, I promise you, is with a member company of Life Happens. As we roll into September and Life Insurance Awareness Month, and this year they've rolled it even more forward. So there's material out there today for you for Life Insurance Awareness Month. Just go leverage that stuff. Ask your managers, they can find your company's passcodes to get you behind, to get all the individual tools and marketing campaigns that Life Happens has. Leverage those kind of tools as much as you can. You don't have to create the content, folks. There's so much content that's out there for you that you just have to be able to be willing to put the work and effort in to go out and go generate it. To me, the beauty of the social media marketing is this. This is something that you can do at 8, 9 o'clock at night while you're sitting at home. Okay? I all the time, and any of my advisors will tell you, I'm infamous. I'll go around, and if I see you sitting on LinkedIn at 10 o'clock in the morning at work, I will smack you in the back of the head, because you shouldn't be doing that. Now, if you tell me, hey, listen, I'm going to go see this guy at 11, I want to go pull down some referrals, that kind of thing, I'll still probably smack you and tell you should have done it the night before. But you shouldn't be posting at 10 o'clock. Be on the phones, right? Be Googling business attorneys. Be trying to find business coaches or whatever it is to reach out to them to say, hey, I'd love to form this partnership. Take those prime time hours and leverage those hours to be able to build up your business. Okay? So let me give you all a little bit of a call to action. Attend a networking event probably in 2022 when we get back to actually having networking events again, right? I'd love to tell you something different, but let's all be honest, right? Probably attend it in 2022, 2021, whatever it may be. But look for opportunities that are out there that are different. Again, I'm going to pick on my alumni association, both from my college and from my high school. We've done things different. We've done some Zoom sessions. We've done some happy hours. Even some of the chambers of commerce now are starting to do kind of virtual happy hours and that kind of thing, where you can plug in and still accomplish a lot of the same stuff that we used to be able to. Not as effective as it is when it's in person, but there's still stuff that's out there. This is a great time to get good at your elevator speech. This is a good time to practice, right? Again, what's that pain? What's that need? And what's the solution that you can bring to the table? For me, the biggest one right now is build out those strategic alliances. If you all put the time and effort and energy into over the next couple of weeks, Googling CPAs and commercial realtors and business coaches and printers and all those kind of folks and say, hey, I want to create a team where we can help leverage each other in the door, I promise you 6 months from now, you're going to be looking back saying, man, I can't believe how far I've come in these last 6 months. I can't believe how good 2021 is already shaping up for me because of the opportunities that the strategic alliances are presenting to me. If nothing else out of today, take that business coach and life coach and attorneys and all those people, take that as a leverage and a jumping off point that you can sit and Google some of those folks, reach out to them and say, hey, I heard some moron talking today, but it made sense to me that I can go out and I can go do this. And you'll see, guys, that there's revenue that you can generate out of this. So hopefully this is a little bit of a good thing. I apologize, that's my old email address on there. See if I can even edit it right now. Probably not. Nope, don't have an ability to edit it. So I will throw right now in chat for you all, again, my contact info. I have no problems at all. If you guys want to give me a call, I've actually, after this session, I've worked a couple of times with people one-on-one with some ideas, some thoughts, some strategies as to what do they want to do, how do they want to do stuff. I got no problems. You guys can pick up the phone, give me a shout, leverage, pick my brain as much as you want to go through and pick my brain. I am happy to help you all do the best that you can to be successful through this. And again, just to emphasize, and I'm sure you probably have heard this from your leadership, but 2020 is just a year. It's a wonky, screwed up, junky year, but 2020 is not your career. So keep your head down, keep working, keep focusing, work through these next couple of months and know that as we get to the other side, and there will be another side, as we get to it, the effort that you're putting in today is going to pay off tremendously for you as your career continues to advance and grow.
Stephen, thank you so much for your time and expertise today, and your silver lining for the way we're navigating the rest of this year. I really appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions for Stephen, we can take a couple minutes. Stephen, I know you have a hard stop coming up, but I'll open it up to the floor here.
Might mean some of you guys actually have to come off mute or show me your video. Andrew, you get the kudos and credit for being brave enough to stay awake and pay attention to me the entire time on video. So I'll tell Zach he owes you a beer next time he sees you in person. How about that?
That sounds good.
All right. Well, if there aren't any questions, Stephen did put his contact info in there. Like you said, feel free to reach out to him and be thinking about your elevator pitch. Can be very important. Not sure when we're going to be riding in elevators anytime soon, but the concept is still there. People still ask you, what do you do, what you're doing. So that's still, relevant. Next week, we will have a class on master your brand, maximize your growth for building your own brand and your professional brand. And like I said, this session has been recorded, so I will send the recording out later this week. And the class next week is the same time, Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be July 21st. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Stay safe and take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one, all.